What if I told you the quarterback who was supposed to save the Tennessee Titans was actually destroyed by them? Marcus Mariota came into the league with everything you could want in a franchise quarterback. He was supposed to be their answer, their star. But in just 4 seasons, he went from savior to benched. So what happened? Was it the constant coaching changes, outdated offensive schemes, or was Mariota himself never built to survive in the NFL? Well, to find out, we have to go back to Eugene, Oregon, where it all began. When Marcus Mariota arrived at Oregon in 2012, the Ducks were already known for their high-octane, fast-paced offense under head coach Chip Kelly. But even Kelly couldn't have predicted what Mariota would become. As a redshirt freshman in 2012, Mariota stepped into the starting role and immediately made an impact. But in 2013, he truly announced himself to the college football world. That season, he threw for 3,665 yards and 31 touchdowns, with just 4 interceptions, while rushing for 715 yards and 9 more scores. 2014, his junior season, he truly cemented his legacy. Mariota put up video game numbers: 4,400 passing yards, 42 passing touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. He also rushed for 770 yards and 15 touchdowns. His efficiency was off the charts, completing 68% of his passes while posting a passer rating of 181.7. The Ducks went undefeated during the regular season and made it all the way to the college football national championship game. Even though they lost to Ohio State, Mariota's individual performance that season was historic. He became the first Oregon player ever to win the Heisman Trophy, while also taking home the Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, and the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. What made Mariota so special in college wasn't just his numbers, it was how he racked them up. He was the perfect quarterback for Oregon's spread offense. He could make every throw, had incredible accuracy, and his mobility added an extra dimension that defenses couldn't account for. He was basically unstoppable when the system was tailored to his strengths. But here's the thing about college success translating to the NFL. It doesn't always happen, especially when the team that drafts you has no idea how to use you. After his incredible junior season, Mariota was projected to be a top 5 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft. Scouts were raving about his versatility. At 6'4" and 222 pounds, he had the size to stand in the pocket and take hits, but also the speed to outrun linebackers in the open field. But there was one major concern that kept coming up in scouting reports. Were his numbers inflated because of the spread offense Oregon ran? Critics argued that the Ducks system simplified his reads and allowed him to make quick, predetermined throws without having to go through his full progression like he would need to in the NFL. So when draft night arrived, Marcus Mariota wasn't the first quarterback off the board. That was Jameis Winston, who ran a pro-style offense at Florida State. The second overall pick was held by the Tennessee Titans, who were in desperate need of a quarterback. They had been cycling through mediocre options for years, so they drafted Mariota with hopes that he would be their franchise's savior. Also, I'm just gonna get ahead of it right now. I know I don't pronounce Titans well. I say it like Titans, like tight ends sometimes. I don't know, I'm just really bad at pronouncing T's. Apologies. When Marcus got to Tennessee, expectations were sky high. Fans felt they had finally found their franchise quarterback, a Heisman Trophy winner who could revolutionize their offense. And early on, it looked like their faith might be justified. In his very first NFL game, going head-to-head with Jameis Winston, the quarterback selected 1 pick ahead of him, Mariota put on an absolute clinic. He completed 86% of his passes for 209 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was an almost perfect performance that had Titans fans dreaming of what could be. Then, in a Week 9 shootout versus the Saints, Mariota was absolutely surgical, completing 71% of his passes for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns. He carved up the Saints defense all game long, but there was a problem. Despite these great individual performances, the Titans were still losing most of the games they played. Their head coach, Ken Whisenhunt, was a traditional old-school coach who preferred a pocket-passing, pro-style offense. This was the complete opposite of what Mariota thrived in at Oregon. Instead of building around Mariota's strengths, Whisenhunt tried to force him into a system that didn't suit his skill set. The play calling was predictable, the protection schemes were outdated, and there was no real plan to maximize his dual threat ability. Also guys, real quick, I want to show you this card. So back in the summer of 2014, I went and bought my first pack of football cards, and out came this, an autograph of my favorite player, OBJ. And after I pulled this card, I just started collecting more and more and more cards, which is why I'm super excited to share that Arena Club is the sponsor of today's video. I was using Arena Club before they even offered to sponsor me, so that's why I'm so excited about this partnership. Arena Club has created a new way to grade, collect, invest, sell, and trade cards by converting the physical cards to the digital platform. To bolster my collection today, I'm gonna rip one of their slab packs. Slab packs contain one graded card, and they have a ton of different tiers and price points to choose from. Their slab packs are unique because they provide full transparency, showing every possible card you could pull from a pack. Alright, so let's jump in here and open this gold football slab pack. Let's see, what are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? The suspense, the suspense. Oh, Joey B. Oh my gosh, a rookie gem mint 10. We take that. I know he just went down with an injury, but come on, Joe Burrow, top 5 QB. Also, if there's any huge Bengals or Joey B fans out there and you really want to trade for this card, I think I'll listen to some trade offers for it. If you look up my showroom, it's called SheGotSports, you can send me a trade offer. I'm trying to collect quarterbacks and Giants players. So if you have any of those in your Arena Club collection, send me an offer. Let's work out a little trade here. And if you haven't started on Arena Club yet and you do want to make a trade with me, I have great news for you. If you go to arenaclub.com/SheGotSports and use promo code SheGotSports, you'll get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. To make matters even worse, the Titans' offensive line was absolutely terrible. Mariota was constantly under pressure, getting hit while trying to make reads, and scrambling for his life on nearly every play. He was sacked 38 times in just 12 games as a starter, which was one of the highest sack rates in the NFL that season. For a young quarterback trying to develop, having no protection was devastating to his confidence and timing. Mariota finished his rookie season with 2,800 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, while adding 252 rushing yards and 2 more scores on the ground. The numbers were decent for a rookie, but it was clear he wasn't being utilized properly. Before the season ended, head coach Ken Wisenhunt was fired. This should have been good news for Mariota, but it actually started a pattern that would define his tenure in Tennessee. Constant coaching changes that prevented any real development or consistency. When the Titans hired Mike Mularkey as their new head coach in 2016, it seemed like things might improve. Mularkey brought in Terry Rubisky as the offensive coordinator, and they promised to build an offense around Mariota's unique skill set. But here's where things get complicated. Instead of embracing Mariota's mobility and creating a modern, dynamic offense, they limited it. Mularkey implemented what he called an exotic smash mouth scheme. It was supposed to be a physical run-heavy attack that used Mariota's legs as a complement to the powerful ground game. The problem was the system didn't really maximize Marcus's talents either. He was still being asked to operate primarily from the pocket, and when he did run, it was often on design runs that exposed him to big hits. The passing game was conservative and predictable, nothing like the innovative offense that he thrived in at Oregon. Actually, it was quite literally the opposite of the spread offense he ran at Oregon. The exotic smash mouth compressed the players on the field instead of spreading them out, often using heavy 2 or 3 tight end sets. Despite being forced to run this limited offense, Mariota's numbers improved in 2016. He threw for 3,426 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, while rushing for 349 yards and 2 additional scores. However, his season ended in heartbreaking fashion. In Week 16, while the Titans were fighting for a playoff spot, Mariota fractured his fibula and was forced to undergo season-ending surgery. In 2017, Mariota's numbers actually declined. He threw for 3,232 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. The touchdown-to-interception ratio was particularly concerning, as it showed he was starting to take more risk trying to create plays in a system that wasn't working. Even his own teammates could see the problem. Titans receiver Rashard Matthews told the media that he'd, quote, rather have Marcus calling the shots in reference to the play calling, and that everyone on the team would prefer to run a more up-tempo offense. That's his niche, not huddling up, tight end Delaney Walker added about Mariota. We're a pretty good conditioned team. I don't think other teams can run with us when we're in no huddle. I think it works for him. By the end of the 2017 season, Mariota and the Titans had clawed their way to a 9-7 record, setting up a wildcard matchup in Kansas City against Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Early on, it looked like Tennessee was completely outclassed. By halftime, they were down 21-3. The offense was lifeless, Mariota was struggling, and the season was hanging on by a thread. But then came one of the wildest plays in NFL playoff history. In the third quarter, Mariota fired a pass towards the end zone. The ball was tipped by the defender, but bounced right back into Marcus's hands. Without hesitation, he tucked it, dove for the pylon, and scored a touchdown. It was the spark the Titans needed. From that moment, Mariota took over. He threw another touchdown later in the game, ran for critical first downs, and even threw a game-sealing block on a third down run by Derrick Henry. Tennessee stunned Kansas City 22-21, completing one of the biggest comebacks in franchise history. Mariota finished the game with 205 passing yards, 46 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. That night, it felt like Marcus Mariota had finally arrived. But looking back, that was the high point, because after that miraculous comeback, Mariota's career would never reach those heights again. The very next week, Tennessee ran into Tom Brady and the Patriots. New England's defense overwhelmed Mariota. He was sacked 8 times, hit constantly, and the Titans fell 35-14 in a game that was never close. After that season, the Titans made another coaching change that would prove to be devastating for Mariota's development. They fired Mike Mularkey and hired Mike Vrabel as their new head coach. Vrabel then hired Matt LaFleur as his offensive coordinator, a rising star who had worked under Sean McVay with the Rams and was viewed as one of the brightest young offensive minds in football. For the first time, it seemed like Mariota finally had an offensive coordinator who could modernize the system and build around his skill set. This was supposed to be the turning point, but it never happened. 2018 was a disaster for Marcus Mariota. In the very first game of the season, he injured the nerve in his elbow, which led to a tingling sensation in his throwing hand all season long. Then, as the season continued, he suffered a cracked vertebrae, a torn plantar fascia in his foot, a broken rib, and a sprained AC shoulder joint. To Mariota's credit, he proved his toughness that year, gutting out injury after injury and only missing 2 games. But it was obvious he wasn't himself. He threw just 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions and had just 2,500 passing yards. It was the worst statistical season of his career and the beginning of the end for him in Tennessee. Mariota's confidence seemed to be completely shot. The constant coaching changes and the system overhauls had clearly taken their toll. After just 1 season, LaFleur left to become the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. This meant Mariota would be learning his 3rd offensive system in just 4 years. The lack of continuity was ruining any chance he had of reaching his potential. In 2019, the Titans hired Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. Smith had been working with the team as an offensive assistant, so there was some hope that he would provide the stability Mariota desperately needed. But by this point, the damage was already done. The 2019 season couldn't have started any worse for Mariota. Throughout the first 6 games, he managed just 1,203 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. On paper, those numbers didn't look awful, but the film told a totally different story. He was hesitant, missing open receivers, holding the ball too long, and taking sack after sack. The Titans stumbled to a 2-4 record, and their season was spiraling out of control. Then came Week 7. Mariota was pulled from the game and replaced by backup Ryan Tannehill. At first, it felt like a temporary switch, a wake-up call for their struggling starter. But it wasn't. This was the moment that everything changed. After 4.5 seasons, the Titans had given up on their former 2nd overall pick. And to make matters even worse, under Tannehill, the Titans' offense immediately improved. They went 7-3 in the regular season with Tannehill as the starter and made the playoffs. In the postseason, they went all the way to the AFC Championship game. After the 2019 season, Mariota became a free agent. The Titans made it clear that they were moving forward with Tannehill as their starter, so Marcus had to find a new home. He signed a 2-year deal with the Las Vegas Raiders to serve as Derek Carr's backup. In Vegas, Mariota showed flashes of his old self when given opportunities. In limited action, he displayed the mobility and playmaking ability that made him special in college. So in 2022, Marcus got another chance to be a starting quarterback, signing with the Atlanta Falcons. He had a solid start to the season, but things then quickly fell apart. And after week 13, he was benched in favor of rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder. Marcus never got another chance to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Currently, he's Jaden Daniels' backup on the Commanders, and he said on podcasts that he's really enjoying this role. He loves the culture Dan Quinn has built in Washington, and he said a team would really have to blow him away with an offer for him to leave this backup role. Carson Wentz was another number 2 overall pick that looked like an MVP candidate and was then benched. If you want to know what happened to him and what teammates said about him anonymously, it's a crazy story. Check out this video up here. Crazy is a crazy saga.